My name is FredBread, and welcome back to Backlog Bread. On this channel, I am going through my massive backlog, or breadlog, of around 100 games, and I'm beating them or eating them one at a time. We all have a breadlog of games, and hopefully if these games are in your breadlog, then I can help you decide on when to play them. My scale for all these games has 3 rankings that go from toasted, meaning to play it immediately, fresh in the bag, meaning to play it soon, or playing it kind of concurrently with a game you're playing now, or just kind of every once in a while, and finally moldy, meaning that this game can sit in your breadlog and wait there for as long as you want it, and you can play that game when you're bored or have nothing else to play. I am just an average gamer who likes to spend his free time playing different video games, and that means I generally base most of the games I play on how much I enjoyed them. So for most of this ranking, it's mostly based on how much I enjoyed the game, as well as how they stood up to today's standards. And that doesn't mean that bad games are gonna have an automatic moldy ranking. There are a lot of games that I enjoy and have played that are not quite good in the eyes of a bigger critic, but I still will find something enjoyable about it, and I'll play it and have fun no matter what. The game that I'm going to be eating my way through from the breadlog is Dishonored. Before I delve into Dishonored, this game was first bought in 2014 and has just been sitting in the breadlog waiting to be eaten since then. And me, I've never been one for stealth games. I always found them to be a little bit boring, and that the best way to experience a game is for the action and quick reflexes and anything that makes the player feel like a badass, if I have to be honest. So for me, I didn't find Dishonored to be all that interesting, especially after all my friends told me that it's one of the best games they had ever played. And after over 10 years, I finally sat down and decided to play the game, and I'm really glad that I listened to them. So the basic story of Dishonored, without giving too much away, is that you are the main bodyguard for the Imperial family named Corvo, and you were sent away to help find a cure for a plague that has been riddling the Empire. And when you come back to talk to the Empress, she's killed right in front of you, and all the people, all the higher ranking people around you blame you for the assassination of the Empress. So you are now tasked with getting revenge on those who wrongfully accused you and putting the rightful heir back on the throne, Emily. And the way you go about completing and getting your revenge is by using different powers given to you by the outsider, who's kind of like a god or a deity, I guess, of the Dishonored world. I'm actually not too certain, but I think he's some sort of god. And when you do meet him, he gives you one power, but over time you are able to unlock others by collecting runes or finding bone charms that give you sort of mini power-ups that help hone in the way you want to play your game. Also, the way you do play your game determines how the ending of the game and the world of the game plays out. So if you kill a lot of people, that really affects your game in adding more enemies and making it a bit harder for the player. But if you go about it in a stealthy, sort of pacifist way, find that you end up with a better ending. Alright, so some of the ways that this game has aged well are the different pathways to complete the objective, the gadgets, and the powers. The pathways is absolutely pivotal to how well this game has aged. There are many different ways to complete each mission, and the first main 2 ways is you can either play this game very aggressive. You can just go in, guns blazing, shoot everybody up, and run away. I don't recommend that. It just makes the game seem a little way too two-dimensional, but it's some way that I think people would play just for a really bad ending, since I think that is achievement for the game. The main way that the game wants you to play is stealthy. They want you to go about the game either killing people in a quiet manner or taking them out in a non-lethal manner. And you can go about this in a variety of different ways depending on the mission. And for me, the non-lethal ways actually make the game a lot more fleshed out than it is. So one of them where I chose the non-lethal option is that we're attending this big party for a very influential family, and I had to find out which family member I needed to assassinate, since it was a costume party and 3 of the ladies of the house were wearing the same costume but in different colors. So there were a couple ways of figuring out who I needed to take out, and one of the ways was you can either sneak up into the bedroom of all the different ladies and find in a journal which one was wearing the right color that you needed to take out. The other way was by talking to guests, completing things for them, and you would hear from their conversation that they know that the one that you're looking for is dressed in this color. And eventually you do find the lady that you're looking for, and you can either just assassinate her outright and run away, or you can go about the non-lethal method, which I chose, which I knocked her out and gave her away to a weird guy. And I kind of regret it if I think about it, because it was really weird, like really weird, the way that he was talking about her towards the end. He was like, yeah, she'll learn to love me, because when he first tasked you with giving, you know, her to him, he was like, yeah, we were meant to be together, but we can't be. And then when you give it to her at the end, he's like, she'll learn to love me. We have all the rest of our lives to do so. And then he drives away on a boat with her, and it's like when she's knocked out, and it's not great. But again, you are trying to get revenge, and she was part of this plot. So I guess karma is a bitch. The way that Corvo can go about doing these tasks and what aged well as these gadgets and powers, they kind of go hand in hand together. And with each of them, they have their own upgrades, and you can spec down certain pathways to help you go about a certain way you want to complete these missions. So either you can go about killing everybody, or you can go about stealthily knocking them out, and these powers and the gadgets can help push you in the right direction. So if you want to get stealthy upgrades, you can get powers where you can see behind walls, and then you can get upgrades for your gadgets so that people are knocked out faster. Or if you want to have a more aggressive approach, you can do ones where your powers can easily take people out quicker with adrenaline if you've taken damage, or your guns can do more damage depending on what ammo you're using. So there are many different ways for Corvo to go about completing his objectives, and I think that those builds that help push the player in one direction is actually quite unique for the time, because compared to games now, they kind of almost overwhelm the player in what they can spec into, and it leads to the player picking like a jack of all trades, and they don't really become a master of one. And that master of one actually makes it a lot more fun, because you get a lot more cooler powers and abilities. So I like how that is kind of given to the player and allowing them to go down one path instead of just staying in one kind of area at multiple points, if that makes sense. Because for me, I personally would recommend that if you guys decide to eat this from your Breadlog, that you spec into non-lethal options, and that you go about the game in a non-lethal way and try to cause as least amount of death as possible. It makes the game a lot more fun, and it gives you a lot more choices and options when you are going about these different missions. We obviously need to talk about what didn't age well, and I know that for some of you who might have played this game, or some of you who tried to play this game, this is most likely what you would agree or disagree with me with. There's one of these points is a little bit controversial, and fight me. I don't know. So Dishonored came out in 2012, and while I did not expect the graphics to be amazing, like 10 out of 10, I did have higher expectations. I know it's supposed to be this art, oil, pastel looking world, and yes, it nails it to a T. I think that the world has such a great look to it. I do think that certain parts don't have that detail to them. So when we're looking at certain faces of people, it looks very mushy. Like they look like clay. Like I can push their nose in and it won't bounce back. And then even some points of the world just feel bland. I mean, especially when you're getting to like a wall, and sometimes this wall is just like a literal gray barrier just right to the next of you, and like I know it's to keep the player in, but you know, there could have been other ways to make it a lot more unique looking than just straight metal wall. And most games today just have a lot more texture, a lot more detail, and it just doesn't feel good to look at compared to maybe other games today. I mean, even in looking at GTA 5, which came out, 3-4 years afterwards, that game is flushed with detail, and it's still, used as a benchmark for a lot of games and what it can do today. Next is the early game. It was terrible. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was awful. It took me about an hour and a half to get through the prison. We could just blame my ability as well with the games and how I play games. I guess maybe I was trying to rush it, but to me, getting an hour through a half for what is supposed to be easy does not feel right. I think that if we want to have a good game, you need to have the game have this easy starting area that gets harder, because if you turn off your players at a hard beginning point, then they're not going to want to continue. Because even as the game went on, at the end, I felt like the game got a lot easier because of all the powers and everything that Corvo had unlocked. But in that beginning, I was constantly saving after every little thing I did, and constantly reloading after every time somebody spotted me. And I just don't think that the game should have started off that way. And lastly is the story. Yeah, it's going to be probably the most controversial point that I make here, but the story's bland. It's bland. Are we going to really fight that this story is any good? Yeah, maybe the DLCs are good, but I haven't played them and I don't have them. It's not part of this Breadlog. It's not part of the bread that I am eating right now, but if you do want to see that, let me know, because I would be happy to, because the gameplay is fantastic. The story could probably get better with it, and I would change my opinion. But as far as the base game story, it's very simple. If we're looking at it from just a top-down perspective, Corvo is just a guy completing missions for higher-ups, taking out people. If that's just the gameplay loop, we're going to an area, taking the person out, repeating it 8 times. It's simple. And even though there is a plot twist, it's kind of something you can see coming. I saw it sort of at the last minute. Like, I knew that once we got towards the end that this was gonna happen, and I was like, okay, yeah, something's going on here, and we're probably gonna find out soon. And then next mission, I found out. But compared to other more recent games, like in Hades 2, a game that I've been playing, there's so much to that game. There is so much, and especially for how much it costs too. That studio made that game, and they put so much into that game that wasn't forced onto the player either. They didn't have to go searching out for it. It was just, as long as you play the game, the more you learn and the more the story develops. While this is just, we know the story, we know what Corvo is trying to do, and this is it. Finally is just the completion time, and for me it took about 8 to 10 sessions to complete, with the first few being about an hour, a little over an hour, and then the middle sessions being around 30 minutes or so, and the final couple being 2+ hours long. And for me, this game took about 9.5 hours to beat, give or take half an hour or so. So for me, I just was kind of procrastinating playing. The reason I didn't really collect and go out of my way to collect as much as possible towards the end is because I was running out of time. I do give myself around 9 days to complete the game, and I had no sense to play early on. At first, I was playing a lot of Minecraft, and then I was like, shit, I'm running out of time. I need to do this. I told you all that I was going to do this, and I'm going to do this. So I did it. So that's why I kind of didn't really complete as much as in the later game, but I still think that if you were to complete and try to collect everything, that if you had a guide and you knew what you were doing, it'd take you about 20 hours. And if you didn't, it'd probably take you up to 30. So my verdict for the Breadlog games comes in 3 ranks, and those are toasted, fresh in the bag, and moldy. While the rating for the bread is for those who own this game or those who have it in their Breadlog, this can also be applied to those who are thinking of purchasing this bread in the future. For the 4th game in the Breadlog, I am giving Dishonored a toasted rating. The reason that this is given a toasted rating is because of how unique the pathways are to complete each and every mission, the gadgets and the powers working hand in hand like a well-oiled machine, and the game taking about 10 or so hours to complete. So if you had about an hour every day, it'd take you a week and a few days to complete, which I don't think is too long compared to other games that would take you months. if you were playing only an hour a day. If this video helped you decide on whether or not to eat this game from your Breadlog or to purchase to put in your Breadlog for later, please comment down below. I would love to hear what you think. I'd love to hear what you thought of the game and if you agree with me or not. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. It means a lot to me and it lets me know that you enjoy the content that I'm creating for you all. So I can't wait to eat with you all later. And again, here are some crumbs from trying to record this voiceover. Second time around, let's do this because I fucked up the first time. Because I don't base it purely on... Ugh, and I have to restart that whole thing. Okay. I am just in... Bleh, that sounds terrible. That's just so fucking weird. I'm letting you guys know right now, if this makes it to the bloopers, I had to record this twice, and I'm sick of myself fucking up, okay? Alright, there we go. I'm going crazy here. No, I don't like that.